Have you ever just stopped and wondered, why do I do the things I do? From the tiny choices you make every day to those huge life-changing decisions, our minds are constantly being guided by these powerful psychological forces that, well, we barely even notice them. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and look at what's really driving us. Let's get into it.
So, to kick things off, I've got a little brain teaser for you. A bat and a ball cost 110 rupees in total. Here's the catch. The bat costs 100 rupees more than the ball. So, how much does the ball cost? Go on, take a second. Got an answer in your head?
If you're like pretty much everyone else, your brain probably leaped to an answer. And, be honest, was that answer 10 rupees? It's the most common response by far. It just feels right, doesn't it? But it's also not right.
The correct answer is actually 5 rupees. I know, right? Let's break it down. If the ball is 5 rupees and the bat is 100 rupees more than that, then the bat costs 105, and 105 plus 5 equals 110. So why on earth did most of our brains get that wrong? Well, the answer reveals something huge about how we think.
That little puzzle is the perfect gateway into the work of Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman. In his incredible book, Thinking Fast and Slow, he lays out this idea that our brain isn't just one thing, it's actually running on 2 completely different systems.
So let's meet the 2 drivers inside your head. You've got System 1, that's your fast brain. It's intuitive, it's automatic, it's your gut reaction. That's the system that blurted out 10 rupees without even thinking. Then there's System 2, your slow brain. It's deliberate, it's logical, it requires effort. That's the one you had to consciously wake up to do the math and find the real answer. And these 2 are in a constant tug-of-war for control.
Our intuition is so incredibly powerful that it can fool us even when we know the truth. Take a look at this famous optical illusion. Those 2 center circles are the exact same size. I'm telling you they are, and you can measure them. But your intuitive brain, your System 1, it just refuses to see it. It just goes to show how easily our automatic brain can be tricked. So our brains can be tricked, but it goes way deeper than simple illusions. As author Dan Ariely discovered, in probably the most painful way imaginable, even supposed experts can be systematically and predictably irrational.
After a horrific accident, Dan Ariely was hospitalized with severe burns covering most of his body. And every single day, he had to endure this agonizing procedure where the nurses would remove his bandages. He'd cry, he'd scream, he'd beg them to try a different, less painful method.
But the nurses, totally confident in their training and their experience, would always say some version of this: "I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing." They believed the best way was to rip the bandages off as quickly as possible. Just get the pain over with.
Years later, Ariely's own research proved that his gut feeling back then was absolutely right. The nurses were completely wrong. The scientifically less painful method was to go slowly, to start with the most painful part first, creating what he calls a downward trend of pain. The professionals' confidence was totally misplaced, and their so-called best practice was actually causing way more suffering.
And that experience led Ariely to this huge question that's at the core of all his work. If highly trained, dedicated professionals can be so confidently wrong in such a high-stakes situation, how often are we, in our own lives, making decisions based on flawed intuition without even having a clue?
Now, it's not just our own internal wiring that guides us. Our decisions are also being powerfully shaped by these external principles of persuasion, these unseen rules that operate just beneath the surface of all our social interactions.
In his classic book, Influence, Robert Cialdini decoded these universal principles. For example, ever get a free sample and then feel this weird obligation to buy the product? That's reciprocity. Or rush to buy tickets because it said only a few left? That's scarcity. These aren't just marketing tricks, they are fundamental triggers of human behavior. Understanding them is like having a shield.
I mean, think about it. If you've ever felt pressured to buying something you didn't really need, or found yourself agreeing to something you really wanted to say no to, chances are one of these principles was being used on you. Knowing what they are is the first step to seeing them in the wild and making choices that are really your own.
Okay, so we've looked at forces inside our minds and forces outside in the world. Now let's turn to a powerful internal force, our own beliefs about our own abilities. This brings us to the fantastic work of Carol Dweck and the concept of mindset.
Imagine you're in a car race. With a fixed speed car, you hit your top speed and that's it. Your potential's capped. But with an upgradable car, your speed actually increases with effort. The more you work at it, the faster you get.
Now that is an interesting race, and that's the core difference between the two mindsets.
So which car are you driving? A person with a fixed mindset believes their intelligence, their talents, they're all static. They avoid challenges because they're afraid to fail and look bad. But a person with a growth mindset, they believe their skills can be developed through dedication and hard work. They see failure not as a stop sign, but as a compass showing them where to work harder.
You know, understanding all these concepts, System 1 and 2, our predictable irrationality, the principles of influence and mindset, it isn't just an academic exercise. It's really about building a practical, psychological toolkit for navigating the wild complexities of being human.
And this toolkit applies everywhere. In our finances, where the psychology of money shows we're often anything but logical. In our social lives, which are governed by the laws of human nature. Even in the everyday people play. Every single area of life has its own hidden rules, and each one gives us another tool for our toolkit.
At the end of the day, all of this comes down to a single, really empowering idea. You can't change the basic rules of human nature, but you can learn to understand them. And by understanding these hidden forces that shape your thoughts and actions, you start to gain control. You gain the power to make more conscious, more deliberate, and just plain better choices.
So, the last question is for you. Life is full of these psychological games, played inside our own heads and with everyone around us. Now that you know some of the rules, how are you going to play?